Shalom, Israel, Most High, Christ bless. This is Officer Lemuel, and to my right, my reader.
Officer Lavi.
All praise to the Most High. So this is kind of a part two. We dealing with fire this class. Remember, last class we dealt with how the Most High deals in the water. He deals in the winds and the rain, all the tropical storms, the hurricanes, the record number. That's of God. That is not Mother Nature or any other sources outside of God. If the Lord did not want it to rain, it wouldn't rain. If God didn't want it to hail and thunder and lightning and have strong winds, guess what? None of that would happen. But it's all of God. So as we go through this class, we're going to deal with fire and how the Most High deals with the spirits of fire. All right?
For folks up and down much of the West Coast.
So this first one we're going to talk about, we're going to deal with the wildfires that are in California. All right? Go ahead.
This has been a week of fire and destruction. As of this weekend, western wildfires have burnt through an area about the size of the state of New Jersey. Correspondent Carter Evans is in Berry Creek, California.
Pause it real quick. So they said that right now, the wildfires in California have consumed enough land the size of New Jersey. So you could put the state of New Jersey inside of California, and it has burned that much land. That's how serious the fires are that's going on in California. Go ahead.
Never in the American West has so much burned so quickly or so destructively. Escaping the flames often meant driving through them. And every day brings more heartache, news of those who could not get out. This was a week of extremes, record-shattering heat, bone-dry humidity, and powerful winds. From Washington State to Southern California, entire communities were wiped out. This is Malden, Washington, and what's left of the post office.
Approximately 90% of the town is completely gone.
In Eagle Point, Oregon, block after block.
You see that?
Level.
So now they in Eagle Park, Oregon. All right. So these fires have consumed. This is another state. This is Oregon. Excuse me. And these fires have consumed entire cities, entire towns. Right. Go ahead.
This is how a neighborhood in Phoenix, Oregon looked until it was obliterated. In Berry Creek, California, the so-called Bear Fire came through so fast it overran a fire station. 2 trucks still inside.
This used to be a beautiful lakeside community with homes nestled in the woods, and now you look everywhere there's destruction. The homes here have been incinerated.
The fire that ravaged Berry Creek is now one of the largest ever to hit the state. 6 of the biggest wildfires in California history have broken out this year. As Governor Gavin Newsom surveyed the damage in Butte County, he left no doubt about the culprit.
This is a climate dam emergency. This is real. And it's happening. This is the perfect storm. It is happening in unprecedented ways.
You see that? So notice how they keep saying it's climate changes, it's global warming, so on and so forth, right? All these natural things as opposed to saying that there is a God, right? We talked about the water. They said the water, global warming, we're destroying the earth, whatever the case is, right? We went over the scriptures dealing with how the Most High is in the storms, how he controls the elements, right? It's the same thing with the fire. The Most High controls the elements. As we go through the scriptures, you're going to see that. So, yes, Esau is destroying the planet. We're going to read that in a minute too. However, understand at the end of the day, these fires that you see in are the result of there being a God that rules in the earth. All right? So go ahead.
Making multiple disaster tours, Washington's Jay Inslee.
California, Oregon, and Washington, we are all in the same soup of cataclysmic fire. And these are conditions that are exacerbated by the changing climate that we are suffering.
Smoke from the dozens of major wildfires mushroomed into thick blankets of clouds so vast they could be seen from space.
Pause that real quick. So the smoke is so high, the smoke is so bad that you could see it from space. It didn't look like, because you can see clouds, you can see stuff like that from space. But to see smoke, we ain't talking about, this ain't no little barbecue in your backyard.
Right.
Them satellites ain't seeing no smoke from the barbecue pit in your backyard. We talking about an entire state on fire, and you can see it from space. You can see it from the satellites in space, right? Go ahead.
Clouds, a suffocating haze. San Francisco was bathed in an ominous, toxic glow.
Prepare for evacuation.
All from fires that keep raging.
Look, but look, mind you, this is in the daytime. It looks like it's evening time, or like it's dawn, like it's getting ready to be nighttime. That's how thick the smoke is. You can barely, it barely look like it's daytime, right? Go ahead.
Is to the limit.
If fires like this continue to be the norm, do we have enough people in this state to fight them?
We don't.
We met battalion
Pause.
chief.
They said they do not have enough people in the city to fight those fires. They don't have enough people in the state to fight those fires. They had people coming from Texas. They posted that on the news maybe a week or two ago, that they had all these firefighters on Southwest Airlines flight because they were going to California to help fight the fires. So it was about, I want to say in total they have about 800 kind of on and off firefighters that are in California fighting these fires right now. Go ahead.
Seneca Smith on the lines of the El Dorado fire, 80 miles east of Los Angeles.
How many more personnel would you normally have on a fire like this?
Right now we're just a little over 400, and I'd say a fire of this size and complexity, we'd be probably looking at close to 800 to 1,000. So we need to essentially double.
See,
By week's
okay,
end-
so pause that. So right now they have about 400. They would need twice that in order to fight these fires. You think about it. Fire, you get an extinguisher, you get, the water hoses. They got water falling from the sky that have all these chemicals in it and stuff like that to put these fires out. No, that's not putting the fires out. That is not touching those fires. They said they need at least double, 800 to 1,000 boots on the ground to extinguish that fire the way that they need to in a timely manner. And they don't have the personnel. Go ahead.
There was at least some relief in sight. Winds were starting to die down. Rain may soon visit the Northwest. And after going through such misery, it's hard to fathom that the worst may be yet to come.
They said it's hard to fathom the worst may be yet to come. You daggone right. The worst is yet to come. This is not the worst. This is a 2% glimpse of what America is going to look like when judgment is brought from God. Because guess what? There is a God that is going to judge America. All right, so let's go to the next video.
This is proving to be an unprecedented and significant fire event.
I mean, look at the sun. If that's the sun or the moon, I don't know. It looks like a little red nickel in the sky.
Historic, unprecedented, and not over. Tonight, major wildfires are burning across Oregon, torching thousands of acres and forcing people to run from their homes. From the smoke at the coast to the flames in the Mount Hood National Forest, few parts of our area are untouched. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Laurel Porter. The newest fire is burning north of Newburgh. Level 3 evacuation notices started going out in the area around 7:30 tonight. Go now, that means. Several streets northwest of Newburgh are impacted. If you're in that area, check the Washington County Sheriff's social media pages for the very latest list. It's been changing rapidly. Evacuees should go to Mountainside High School in Beaverton. And here's a look at some of the biggest fires burning in Oregon tonight. We'll go over them one by one here in just a moment. There's the Powerline Fire by Hagg Lake in Washington County, the Holiday Farm Fire in Lane County, and the Santiam and Lions Head fires in Marion County east of Salem. Let's start with those last two because they are by far the biggest. Together, they have burned more than 200,000 acres. This is video from Mill City in Marion County, where these fires are burning. Sheriff's deputies shared it while driving through town, and as you can see, there is a lot of fire damage. In Marion County, Lyons, Mahama, Detroit, Idana, and Highway 214 north of Silver Falls State Park to Scotts Mills are all under Level 3 Go Now evacuation orders.
I want y'all to understand that what we're looking at with Deer Park, these are like 85% Edomites. 85% of the racial makeup in Deer Park is Esau. Go ahead. See, so the Most High wasn't playing with Edom, man. He wasn't playing with Edom. What we're looking at in all these different places, these are all inhabited by the so-called white man, predominantly. Go ahead. Alrighty then. All right. So with that, we're going to read over some scriptures dealing with fire and how the Most High deals with fire in the earth. All right. Let's see if it's Mother Nature. Is it Mother Nature and there's just some puff of smoke out somewhere in the sky that's ruling in the earth and doing these things? Or is it something else? Let's see. Let's get Sirach chapter 39, verse 28. Sirach chapter 39, we're going to start at verse 28.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance.
So it says there be spirits or angels that are created for vengeance. As we read on, we're going to see what those different angels or spirits are. Interchangeable words. Go ahead.
Which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force.
In the time of destruction, they pour out their full force. Whatever they were created for, they pour it out in the proportion of what the Most High tells them to. All right, so as we read through these different spirits, you're going to see. Read on.
And appease the wrath of him that made them.
And they please God. They appease the wrath of him that made them. The Most High made the spirits that are created for his vengeance. How does the Most High show his anger? Through these different spirits that we're getting ready to read. Read.
Verse 29. Fire.
What?
Fire.
What does it say?
Fire.
Fire. The first spirit created for vengeance is what?
Fire.
Is fire. What we saw was, like I said, probably 80-90% of the people that were in those different cities that we saw, is Esau. It's a so-called white man. The Most High dispatched the angels or the spirit of fire to say, hit Deer Park, hit San Maria, hit Oregon, hit this part of California. Don't touch that part of Cali. Touch this part of Cali. Don't touch that part of Oregon. Touch this part of Oregon. Okay, yes, Lord. Because they appease the wrath of him that made them. Because they please God. God said, I want you to burn this much land. They say, understood, Lord. They don't say, well, what if I go an extra inch? No. That's not what I said. I want you to go up to this bound, and then once you hit this boundary, then that's it. Understood, Lord. Notice how Esau's trying to put those fires out. They need double the amount of personnel that they have currently in order to even attempt to extinguish the fires. Why? Because the Lord said, I want you to continue to burn. Why? Read verse 28 again.
Sirach
In the
chapter
time.
Sirach chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes.
Go ahead.
In the time of destruction, they pour out their force.
In the time of destruction, they pour out their force. Go ahead.
And appease the wrath of him that made them.
And appease the wrath of him that made them. That fire has not extinguished because God said, I don't want you to go out yet.
Right.
You mean to tell me all the water, all these fire extinguishers all over America, and they can't put out a fire in one part of the land? No, because God said, I don't want it to go out yet. Because the Lord made those spirits. So verse 29.
Verse 29. Fire and hail and famine and death. All these were created for vengeance.
All these were created for vengeance. All these were created for vengeance. There is a spirit in the fire. Fire is a spirit. Hail is a spirit. Famine is a spirit. Death is a spirit. For death, how they call in the world the Grim Reaper. Where do you think they got that from? They got that from the Bible. Because there's a death angel. Read on, verse 30.
Verse 30. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction.
And the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. What you seeing is just a glimpse of the destruction that's coming to America. Why? Because of everything that they've done to the children of Israel. Because like the scripture says that they've forwarded the affliction. So it wasn't enough for the Lord to judge us, put us into slavery. Now we gator bait.
Right.
Now we got human zoos. Now we have piss poor education. Last hired, first fired. Now you got laws that say you can't vote. They do redlining. All these things. So guess what? The Lord said, I created spirits in order to judge those same people. He's going to use those same spirits to judge his people because of the punishment of our sins, because we've sinned against God. So it says, teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. Verse 31.
Verse 31. They shall rejoice in his commandment.
So those spirits rejoice in God's commandment. Read.
And they shall be ready upon earth.
And they ready whenever the Lord calls, whenever the Lord picks up, yo, it's time to go. Yes, Lord. That's it. Go ahead.
And they shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word.
They're not going to transgress God's word. If God says, I want you to burn this, they're going to do it. If God says, I want hail to fall here, guess what? Hail is going to fall there. It's not going to fall here. And those spirits are not going to disobey his word. So let's go from that. Go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. So guess what? Even the gods, the good, let me say it like this. The goods and the gods of Esau, the so-called white man, are going to be burned up in nuclear fire. Why? Because God said he created the sword for destruction, like we just read in Sirach chapter 39. We're going to read about those swords a little bit later. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 13, verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 13 and verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature.
Surely vain are all men by nature. Go ahead.
Who are ignorant of God.
Who are ignorant of God. What is being ignorant of God? To say, oh, it's just Mother Nature. Mother Nature is just running her course, just doing her thing. Who is Mother Nature? What? You mean to tell me Mother Nature is just allowing, just gonna let your stuff burn and that's it?
They call it unprecedented events.
Yeah, unprecedented event. So Mother Nature, that's what you say. Mother Nature out here causing unprecedented events. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Read that again.
Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is.
And it says, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is. What are the good things that are seen? Hold this, Genesis. We're going to read line upon line, precept upon precept. Genesis chapter 1. Read verse 4. Read verse 3 and verse 4.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 3. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God said the light, and God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness.
You see that? He said it was good. We're going into what? Creation, verse 10.
Verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good.
God saw dry land and he saw waters. He said it was good. Jump down to verse 12.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
Verse 18.
Verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good.
Start at verse 16.
Verse 16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day,
the sun,
and the lesser light to rule the night,
the moon.
He made the stars also.
So we're talking about the sun, the moon, and the stars, right? We're talking about creation. Go ahead.
And God set them in the firmament of the heaven.
God set them in the firmament, set them in space. Go ahead.
To give light upon the earth.
To give light to the earth. He set the sun, the moon, and the stars in perfect order. Guess what? They go in a cycle. When it's sunlight and it's daytime, guess what? The sun comes up. As the sun goes down, the moon comes up, and guess what? It's nighttime. God created what's called perfect order. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good.
And God saw that it was good. Verse 21.
Verse 21. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, with which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
God saw it was good. Verse 25.
Verse 25. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
And God saw that it was good. Verse 26.
Verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Go ahead.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
Go ahead.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
And God blessed Adam, the main Adam, with dominion over the earth. Adam and his descendants, the children of Israel. All right? And God said that is good. So when we go back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 13, and we read verse 1 again, so now you got a better understanding of verse 1. Read.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 13 and verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is.
It says, surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God. Why are they ignorant of God? Because it says, and could not out of the good things that are seen. What are the good things that are seen? Creation. The perfect order of the sun, moon, and the stars. The perfect order of how the sea goes up to the shoreline, it stops at the shoreline, and it goes right back. It doesn't flood the earth. How about nature? How about the seasons? How about we have 4 seasons? Winter, spring, summer, fall. Those things are good. God said that's good. It says, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is. So you mean to tell me out of Esau's infinite wisdom, out of everything that they create, 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, 1G, the internet, missiles, GMOs, they creating plants, seedless watermelons, seedless grapes, and all this other stuff. They creating animals, ligers. How the hell you create just a whole animal, a liger? You mean to tell me with everything, with all the creation, they don't understand that it's not Mother Nature, that there is a God? That's what the Lord said. Read on.
Neither by considering the works.
What are the works? The works of creation.
Did they acknowledge the workmaster?
So guess what? Esau does not understand that, and the other nations, they don't understand that there is a God that rules in the earth. There is a God that created the sun, the moon, and the same sun that they worship. The sun didn't create itself. So they're worshiping the creature more than the creator. They're worshiping the creation and not the creator. Likewise, what it's saying right here, they did neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the work master. By looking at the sun, the moon, and the stars, you can see that there is a God. There is an infinite, all-powerful, omnipotent being out there that created everything and put it in its perfect order. It's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Read on.
Verse 2. But deemed either fire.
But deemed either fire.
Or wind.
Uh-huh.
Or the swift air.
Or the swift air, go ahead.
Or the circle of the stars. Or the violent water. Or the lights of heaven. To be the gods which govern the world.
Which be the gods that govern the world. So they say fire is a god. Wind is a god. Mother Nature. They worship the creature in creation more than the creator. God said, read verse 2 again.
Verse 2. But deem either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be the gods which govern the world.
They consider nature to be the gods that govern the world. You mean to tell me the sun created itself, the stars created itself, or there was this big bang that created it? Are you serious? Come on now.
I'm not you in the spirit.
And matter of fact, this is dude. What's his dude name? Something Degrassi. I'm gonna make sure we put it in because he mentioned a little 2-minute video where he was asked the question if there's a God, and short answer was no. And I don't remember everything he was saying because it was all foolishness, but I'm gonna make sure we put that in because it shows you the mind of our people. And when you've gone so deep into the philosophies and doctrines of men, the stuff that proceeds out of your mouth literally don't make no sense. Literally. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods.
So while you take the beauty of the sun, the moon, and the stars to be a god, go ahead.
Let them know.
Then you need to know this.
Let them know how much better the Lord of them is.
Guess what? God is bigger and better than all of his creation. Why? Because he created it. Read on.
For the first author of beauty have created them.
Because he's the first author of beauty. He said, I want fire to be orange, that orangish, yellowish look. And I want it to consume everything it touches. The Lord created that. The Lord created the wind and said, I don't want nothing to stand up that crosses its path. That being a hurricane. That's what God said. And it was so. How do we know? Because hurricanes happen. Tropical storms happen. Fires happen. And fires consume everything they touch. Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's his name. Yep, that's his name. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, verse 6. Because as I was putting this together, it was reminding me of Egypt. And there was an all-consuming fire in Egypt to the point where there was no amount of water that could extinguish that fire. Right? Go to read Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, let's start at verse 16, and we're just going to read down.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, and verse 16. For the ungodly,
the Egyptians,
that denied to know thee,
that worshipped and served the creature and creation more than the creator,
were scourged by the strength of thine arm.
They were destroyed. They were beat to hell and back by what?
With the strength of thine arm.
Read it again.
For the ungodly that denied to know thee were scourged by the strength of thine arm.
By the strength of what?
Thine arm.
By the strength of thine arm. Let's see what the strength of God's arm was. Read.
With strange rains, hails, and showers were they persecuted, that they could not avoid.
You was not getting away from the hail. When we was in Egypt, when Israel was in Egypt, I'm talking about ancient Egypt, you wasn't getting away from the hail. The Egyptians wasn't getting away from, what else it said? The strange rains and the showers. Read.
Were they persecuted, that they could not avoid. And through fire.
Through what?
Fire.
Through fire, what happened?
Were they consumed.
Through fire were they consumed. What we seeing right now in America is a glimpse of what's going to happen when Christ returns. When World War III pops off. You talking about just a little city the size of New Jersey. That's a glimpse. You talking about needing 2 times as many firefighters as you have on the ground to extinguish that fire. 800 to 1,000 people. You mean to tell me all these planes and all that and you can't extinguish the fire? Likewise in ancient Egypt. Strange rains, hails, fires that consumed our enemies. What you seeing right now is spiritual. I want y'all to see that. Read on.
Verse 17. For which is most to be wondered at, the fire had more force in the water.
The fire was stronger in the water. The more water you try to put on the fire to try to extinguish it, what happened? The fire got bigger.
That's what you seen in those videos.
Yeah. They dropping water from the planes. Nothing's happening. You ain't doing nothing but spreading the fire out. That's all they doing.
Verse 17. For which is most to be wondered at, the fire had more force in the water.
What? The fire had more force in the water. The more water you put on the fire, the worse that fire got. The hotter that fire got. Why? Because there is a God that works in the elements. That's what we're reading about. Read.
They quenched all things, For the world fighteth for the righteous.
For the world fighteth for the righteous. What does it mean, the world fighteth for the righteous? All those spirits that the Lord created, he created for the destruction of our enemies. He created for our salvation. So don't be in wonder when you see North Korea making missiles, Russia showing off missiles. When you see China, you see China with missiles. Why? Because God said, that's what I'm using to save my people, the righteous. It didn't just say all Israel. It said, who? Read the bottom part of that, for the world.
For the world fighteth for the righteous.
For the world, the elements fight for the righteous. Fire will fight for the righteous. Read on.
Verse 18. For sometime the flame was mitigated, that it might not burn up the beasts that were sent against the ungodly.
So guess what? The Most High was playing chess. He said, not only are y'all going to have fire, but I'm not going to, talking about an ancient Egypt, but I'm not even going to allow that fire to touch the animals. Why? Because the teeth of wild beasts. Y'all going to feel the teeth of wild beasts. It says, for sometime the flame was mitigated. So sometimes the flames were extinguished for a reason. It says that it might not burn up the beasts that were sent against the ungodly. Most High out here was playing chess with the Egyptians. For who? The righteous of Israel. Read on.
But themselves might see and perceive that they were persecuted with the judgment of God.
That they were persecuted with the judgment of God. Why? Because God created these spirits for vengeance, and they appeased the wrath of him that made them. Read.
And at another time it burneth even in the midst of water above the power of fire.
And at another time it burneth even in the midst of water above the power of fire. Read.
That it might destroy the fruits of an unjust land.
So guess what? There was no amount of water that was going to extinguish the fire in ancient Egypt. And God burned up that land. The Most High sent boils. He sent teeth of wild beasts. He sent hail. He sent strange rains. He sent darkness and apparitions. All those spirits the Most High used to judge our enemies. And that's a beautiful thing. That should make your teeth white. That should make your teeth white. Why? Because in 2020, you're seeing just a glimpse of what the Most High is going to use to judge the nation that put you in captivity, that sold your sons and daughters into captivity, that took 500 plus so-called Mexican children away from their parents. You think that there's not a God that's going to judge that? And then your president got the nerve to say, oh, those children are being well taken care of. Are you serious? You think, because that's what they say in Christianity, apparently that God is just cool with whatever happens in the earth, and everybody's going to get the kingdom of heaven. As long as you believe in white Jesus, you good. Trust and believe. That image that y'all worship and all those that have oppressed the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, God's going to use these same spirits against them. God's going to use these same spirits that we're reading about to judge the enemies of the children of Israel. Guess who that is? All the other nations. Sirach chapter 7, verse 16. So I pray, brothers and sisters, y'all are getting an understanding of how the Most High is using the fire. Oh, before we get that, let's read this verse. We're going to read Sirach chapter 7, verse 16 and 17. I want you, brothers and sisters, to keep these scriptures in the forefront of your mind as you see what's happening in the earth. All right? Read.
Sirach chapter 7 and verse 16. Number not thyself among the multitude of sinners.
So God said, don't number yourself amongst the multitude of sinners. Those that are celebrating Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, celebrating birthdays. You got that auntie that you ain't that you just love so much, and she like, come over, baby, come celebrate my birthday. No, auntie, no. God is against that, and I'm not going to number myself amongst the multitude of sinners. Read.
But remember that wrath will not tarry long.
But remember that wrath will not tarry long. Destruction of America will not tarry long. Read.
Humble thy soul greatly.
That's why God said, humble thy soul greatly. Read.
For the vengeance of the ungodly is fire.
Is what?
Is fire.
Is what?
Is fire.
And what?
And worms.
Is fire and worms. The vengeance of sinners. We're not just talking about the other nations. Those that don't want Jesus the Christ, the black Messiah, to rule and reign over them, they want to continue in the midst of their sin. God said, for the vengeance of the ungodly is fire and worms. Isaiah chapter 34, let's read verse 8 through 10.
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompense.
We've been reading a lot about God's vengeance, his wrath, destruction. It says, for it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. World War III, Christ's return, the day of the Lord's vengeance. That's what we're talking about. And the year of recompenses or payback. Read.
For the controversy of Zion.
It says for the controversy of Zion. What's the controversy of Zion? Who are the children of Israel? What does Christ look like? Who are the other nations? Because even that's a controversy. Because Esau has gone and they've changed the names of all the other nations. Now no longer is it Moab. Now it's the Chinese. It's not Ammon no more. Oh, they're the Japanese. It's not Ham, the land of Ham no more. Now it's Africa. Read.
Verse 9. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch.
And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch. What are we talking about? Destruction. Read.
And the dust thereof into brimstone. And the land thereof shall become burning pitch.
It says, and the land thereof shall become what?
Burning pitch.
Burning pitch. Burning pitch. What burns? Fire. 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 Read.
Verse 10. It shall not be quenched night nor day.
That fire shall not be quenched night nor day. Read.
The smoke thereof shall go up forever.
The smoke that's going to rise up from America is going to go up forever as a memorial. Go ahead.
From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever.
None shall pass through it forever and ever. Why? Because there's a spirit in the fire. That sword, those missiles are created for the enemies, the other nations, as well as the enemies of the children of Israel that do not want to repent and apply God's commandments. You can repent. You can change. Do not be swayed by your unbelieving family, your unbelieving wives, your unbelieving husbands, your unbelieving children. Christ said, if you love me, keep my commandments. If you love everybody else more than you love me, you cannot be my disciple. That's what Christ said. And if you do not want to be a disciple of Jesus the Christ, the black Messiah, guess what? Everything that we just read, it's got your name written on it. That fire, you're going to feel that fire. I pray we all get our minds right and get our spirits right and continue in this faith. Because I don't want to be a part of no consuming fire. I don't want to be a part of no smoke that's going to go up forever from generation to generation. I don't want to know what that feel like. I'm good. I don't want to be numbered amongst the multitude of sinners. So brothers and sisters, continue to stay rooted, stay grounded, stay built up in the faith. Malachi 3:16, 1 Corinthians, 1 Corinthians about, y'all help me out, where it says, come together and so much the more as you see the day approaching. I'm paraphrasing, but y'all know what it's Hebrews 10. That's what it is. Hebrews 10, 24 and 25, right? Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25. Continue to come together. Gather together, O nation not desire, before the decree brings forth. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. All right? So we're going to end it on that. And with that, we say shalom.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.